Several prominent voices in the alternative media are speculating that former CIA analyst and NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden could be a double agent whose revelations are only serving to distract from the much bigger issue of the imminent escalation of the war in Syria. Snowden's leaks about NSA spying and the PRISM program emerged on the same day as the Syrian army scored a key victory against Western-backed rebels in Qasr. And the Snowden story was still dominating the headlines just over a week later when the Obama administration dubiously announced that Bashar al-Assad's use of chemical weapons justified the arming of FSA militants with heavy weaponry. While the escalation of conflict, which some experts have warned could spark World War III, began, the mainstream media remained distracted and obsessed with Snowden's revelations about NSA spying, which, as other NSA analysts such as William Binney have previously exposed, were really nothing new. This neutralized what should have been a national debate in America about the complete lunacy of arming known terrorists who have publicly sworn on numerous occasions to attack American interests once they are finished in Syria, and who have openly sworn allegiance to Al-Qaeda. In an article entitled "How to Identify a CIA Limited Hangout Operation," Webster Tarpley writes, "The operations of secret intelligence agencies aiming at the manipulation of public opinion believe that the Snowden fits falsified documents and other materials are deliberately revealed by an insider who pretends to be a fugitive rebelling against the excesses of some oppressive or dangerous government agency. But the revelations turn out to have been prepared with a view to shaping the public consciousness in a way which is advantageous to the intelligence agency involved." Author Naomi Wolf concurs with Tarpley to some extent, and she's been savaged by the mainstream media for doing so, arguing that Snowden's revelations don't really damage the NSA because they only serve to make people more frightened of government surveillance. Quote, "A police state would like us all to think about everything we would lose by standing up against it," she writes. "It is actually in the police state's interest to let everyone know that everything you write or say everywhere is being surveilled and that awful things happen to people who challenge this." Wolf also questions Snowden's slick presentation style, suggesting that he appears to have been professionally briefed on his talking points. Other questions revolve around why Snowden went from enlisting in the US Army in 2004 to supporting anti-war candidate Ron Paul in 2012. This transformation from militarist to civil libertarian has fueled speculation that Snowden's image was deliberately massaged to make him appear as a hero to both Ron Paul-type libertarians as well as classical liberals. However, it's worth noting that numerous individuals have undergone a radical political awakening directly as a result of what they witnessed in the army. People like Pat Tillman, Adam Kokesh, and Corey Rowe, to name three. This can and does happen organically. People do change their minds. But the question is still being asked. Could Edward Snowden really be a double agent? Could his support from both the Guardian newspaper and WikiLeaks, both of which have aligned themselves behind toppling Bashar al-Assad, indicate that this is one huge distraction from the Obama administration's agenda in Syria? It can be argued that Snowden's revelations have caused huge embarrassment for the establishment and for the US military-industrial complex. Although it would be naive not to expect countries to spy on each other, China, Russia, and even European countries like Germany have all furiously complained about being targeted by the NSA on the back of Snowden's revelations. This threatens to cause a serious schism in international relations and bolster opposition to US hegemony. That kind of fallout is not staged or scripted. While no one is above suspicion, and we all know that there have been questions about the motivations of Julian Assange hanging around for years. I think there's a tendency amongst people in the alternative media to believe that no one could ever sacrifice everything and stand up for what's right, as Snowden has apparently done, without it being somehow staged, manipulated, or scripted. There's a kind of defeatist mentality which posits that those who stand up for freedom and are successful, or those who merely attract media attention for standing up for liberty, can't possibly be doing it for the right reasons. There must be a hidden subtext, that it's too good to be true. This kind of cynicism can only be self-defeating. If we constantly tear down would-be icons of liberty, then we're doing the establishment's job for them. As George Orwell said, the further a society drifts from truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. So unless we have clear evidence that Edward Snowden is some kind of double agent, and from what I've read out of both Naomi Wolf and Webster Tarpley's articles, it's not yet forthcoming. Let's support Snowden and what he stands for. Let's give people who risk their livelihoods for freedom the benefit of the doubt. However, the point that these revelations and the international wild goose chase now surrounding Snowden have served to distract from fundamentally important developments in Syria is key. In conclusion, while I think there's scant evidence to suggest that Edward Snowden is deliberately acting as a double agent or playing a role in a limited hangout operation, there can be no doubt that his revelations about NSA spying, which were largely already known and which polls show Americans have little concern about, have given the White House and the corporate media the opportunity to direct attention away from Syria and dramatically dilute opposition to what represents an insane policy of arming terrorists and pouring gas on an already raging inferno that could very easily lead to World War III. This is Paul Joseph Watson reporting for Infowars.com.